Welcome to the Seer Show. Join us as we dive into the dynamic world of health, wellness, mindset, and fitness with the unparalleled guidance of lifelong knowledge seekers, Sifu Rafael and Nikki Gangemi. Sifu and Nikki will unlock groundbreaking insights with extraordinary guests from around the globe. You'll get the latest holistic approaches to well-being with a sharp focus on the powerful connection between mind, body, and soul. Get ready to take the leap. It's time to embrace a brighter and healthier future with us at the Seer Show.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good morning, Nikki. How are you? Happy Wednesday.
Good morning, Sifu. I'm excellent. And how are you doing?
Exceptional. Every day, a little better. A little
A
better.
little better, yes.
That's it.
That's
That's
the
it.
aim.
I'm excited for today. We have two, powerful women coming on.
Yeah.
Why don't we go ahead and bring them? Let's
Let's
bring
do
on
it.
Regina and Jodi. Ladies, welcome to the
Hi.
show.
Hello, thank you.
Thanks so much for having us on.
Yes, it's great to
Absolutely.
see you again, Regina, and it's great to meet you, Jodi.
It's nice to meet
Yeah.
you as well. Happy to be here.
Yeah, wonderful to
I-
see you, Nikki. It's been a while.
It's been a little minute.
I'm gonna just be I'm just gonna be a fly on the wall and listen to three powerful women talk about unmasking potential and transforming leadership. I'm just gonna sit back.
You're not gonna
Oh,
leave?
that's a
You're not
surprise.
gonna leave?
That would be a first, right? For me not to say anything.
Yes. Yes, it would.
So who'd like to start? What does it mean to unmask potential?
I'd love to hop in on that, Sifu.
Go for it.
This idea of unmasking, of course, is very close to my heart. This idea of letting go of all of these things that we have kind of put in place in order to try to be what everybody else thinks we should be or what we think we should be, and really just being ready and willing to be vulnerable enough to drop the masks to really find the true potential that you were created with, that potential that you have in and of yourself, not because you're trying to please anyone else or meet anyone else's expectations, but that raw potential that the creator put in you when he knit you together. So this idea of unmasking it is just this freedom that you find to truly be who you were created to be and just harness that potential that he has put in you.
Love it. Wow.
Love that.
Yeah, so I love that you said unmasking. Yes, because it is really about that authentic essence that we all are, not just have, but are. And the only difference or different angle I would like to give it, I actually believe that we created everything and not something or somebody outside of us. So what have we put into ourselves? I want to bring a little bit of a different perspective in that sense. And, we talk so much about authenticity, and Jodi, you hinted toward authenticity, right? And I just wanted to add to that what does authenticity even mean? We talk about it a lot, but oftentimes we don't really think, what does it mean, right? To me, that authenticity is that alignment of our thoughts, our words, our actions, our attitude, our energy, our presence, and really the ability and the willingness and the courage to bring to this world what we came here for.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Nikki, what are your thoughts?
Well, I love the last part mostly that Regina said about the courage to bring that to the world. So yeah, what I love about, excuse me, unmasking potential is it presupposes that we have so much potential, or we have potential already inside of us. And part of that is just recognizing it, leaning into it, getting curious, and then, like Regina said, having the courage to follow what lights you up.
Love it. Thank you, Enrique Acosta, for joining us, and of course, our good friend Marianne Pageant. I gotta say, I want you to think of a superhero. A superhero usually is masks. They wear a mask. Batman, most people, even Clark Kent wears glasses. That's his mask, right? But the potential to be super, to be incredible, is inside of us. But Hollywood, if you will, has said that for us to show our potential, our strength, our power, we need to mask it. And what we're asking you today is to be the superhero and unmask it and show the world who you truly are. Like Jodi said, who God made you to be. And Regina also talked about that it's in us. It's always been in us, because if you do believe in God, God made us in his image, so we are that powerful. And anytime that we can help someone else, I think we're bringing forth our hero, unmasking who we really are.
Yeah. I love
Like
Yes.
that.
the idea, that idea of the superheroes and kind of the fact that they're always putting on a mask because they're hiding one portion of their identity. And so this idea of unmasking that potential is don't be afraid to be who you are meant to be. Don't be afraid to, like Regina said, have that courage to show that potential that is in you. Stop living the two different lives and trying to put on the persona of being the superhero, and just let that be your everyday go-to of who you are and what you're here to do.
Love it.
Yes, I want to say my only superhero in my life, or my only role model, as I like to say, the only one I've ever had is Pippi Longstocking, and she did not ever wear a mask. She was
Really?
always who she wanted to be, and she had that courage. She just did it, and she didn't mind if it was different to anybody else, if she was different to anyone else. And actually, her friends, who were much more adapted to their environment and their society and their school system and whatnot, they ended up looking up to her because of this courage of being herself and living the life that she wanted to live on her terms. And that's also actually one of the reasons why I wrote my recent book, because it's really about living that life that is right for you, that is perfect for you and not for anybody else. And that's why we all have unique potential. And I also want to say that our potential isn't put inside of us by somebody outside. It's already there, and it's infinite. So you can really never step into your full potential, because it's infinite. As you step deeper into it, it expands. So when people say step into your full potential, I don't get what they actually mean, right? Because it always expands with you. There is no end to it. And also, by taking that full responsibility for everything in my life, including everything that's around me, the people that are around me, and by adopting the responsibility that I created this universe of mine, I can also then gain that freedom and that power to create more of what I want. That doesn't mean that I can change everything in 1 second, maybe because I have still limiting beliefs and all this other stuff, but I can move into that direction. So that's why it's so important to me, for me personally, to to realize that I have created everything so that I can take full responsibility and that I'm never the victim.
Love that. Never the victim, responsible for your own actions. And I love the fact that you even said for everything in your life, including your mistakes, right? Because we make so many. I mean, if you followed me, you'd be like mistake, 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 mistake. But then you would have to have another pad saying corrected it, corrected it, corrected it, corrected it. Because without making mistakes, how do we know that we are adjusting in order to go in the right direction?
Yeah, can I just add to this quickly? I have stopped calling it mistakes. I call it experiences.
There you go.
Because that is much more, so that doesn't put me at fault. That doesn't mean that I have to judge myself and be strict with myself and I can do this anymore. No, it's like, okay, yes, there is a situation that gave me an opportunity to learn for sure, but also to realize what I might need to dissolve, maybe in terms of my emotions. Maybe I need to look at some of my beliefs, because it's not just always about our conscious. There's so much more to it.
Thank you for that. Opportunities. Yes.
And
I love
Nikki,
Regina,
Nikki,
yeah.
go ahead.
I was just saying, I love the
you,
reframe that Regina gave, mistakes as experiences. I'm going to use that, so thank you.
Well, and I
so
like
Nikki,
to.
when you consider all of the concepts that we've been listening to, as a person who works in your own calm method, what power are you looking at when you're listening to these two incredible, powerful women?
Well, I'm hearing a lot. One thing that I was thinking about is that when I believe it was Regina mentioned taking responsibility, personal responsibility, and mentioned not being a victim. And, that reminded me of, I've played the role of victim in the past. And I have to say, it doesn't get you anywhere that you want to be. And it wasn't until I took personal responsibility for my choices of going into education and becoming an elementary school teacher, saying yes to something that was, somebody else's dream for me. It wasn't until I took personal responsibility that I was able to walk away from it and begin a new chapter of my life. So while it can be scary, the benefits on the other side of that make it worth walking through the fear and doing it anyway, when it's something that feels inspired and aligned for you.
Love it.
So
Love
all about personal responsibility.
it. Go ahead, Jodi. You were going to say before.
I just kind of going off of what both Regina and Nikki has said, that this idea of these experiences that we go through, and the idea of the tool of being mindful, right? That mindfulness that we're supposed to be able to reflect on our experiences, and like Regina said, stop judging yourself so harshly and making this beat down session on yourself, but allow yourself the grace to consider, what did I like and what did I not like about that experience? What can I learn from that experience to grow myself and to better my situation or circumstance? And the responsibility aspect of it, of what role did I play? It's so easy to look at, well, he said or she said or they or everybody else. It's easy to put it out to see, I ended up here because of all of these other people and their thoughts. And Nikki, you even mentioned, that the idea of someone else's dream for us, right? So often we find ourselves wanting to blame, but being willing to take that responsibility and not judge ourselves so harshly, but to learn from it. I think that is mindfulness at its core, of being able to say, let me see, let me step back for a second, learn what I can about myself, learn what I can about others in my life, learn what I can about the situation, and then choose wisely how to proceed, choose what I want to see next, based on what I've learned and experienced from the situation.
Yes, and you know what? Maybe we can't even go sometimes a step further, Jodi. I love what you just said, and even be grateful for the role these people played, so that we could have those experiences. How about that?
Absolutely. Yes,
Because
that
for
completely
some
changes the
reason,
narrative.
yeah, because for some reason, we, even if subconsciously, wanted to have that experience so that we could somehow grow through it, right? And that's what I also mean with taking 100% responsibility. That doesn't make a behavior that was maybe mean or whatever you want to label it as right. It doesn't make that behavior right, and it doesn't mean that you got to let it all go and never stand up for yourself. That doesn't mean that at all. However, it also means that you're taking the responsibility for having lived this situation, and that there might be some forgiveness that you might want to practice with that person and with yourself, right? For example, there's a lot more to this, of course, but really, so at this point in my life, it took me a while to get here, but I really see it that way for myself, that okay, this, we often say, oh, they were a teacher, but do we really mean it? And so if I do really mean it, I have to actually get to a point to even thank them for the role they played. Just a thought.
I like the responsibility part, because if you think about a superhero, they mask themselves so that they don't have to always take the responsibility. So, but now we're asking everybody to be vulnerable, to say yes, as Regina likes to call it. It's an experience. I may have not done it the way you expected me to do something, but I still did it. And maybe I have to rethink my actions. What did I do? How did I do it? Who did I affect in the process? Because every action that we take, whether we know it or not, it's going to affect someone else in the world, whether it's a positive or negative. Obviously, we're all trying to go positive here, but not everybody sees what we do as positive, right? We
Exactly.
can't please everybody. If you become a people pleaser, you will be the most miserable person there is. So we can't please every single person. And we need to be okay with that. So unmasking, I believe unmasking yourself is to say, here I am. This is me. Love me or hate me. But at least tell me how you stand, so that I know whether I'm going to waste my time with you or not waste my time. And I don't mean by wasting my time, I mean spending my time, right? Dealing in your world. And I love that Regina talked about she creates her own universe. And I appreciate that you said that, because I believe we all live in our little world, right? We create what we want around us, whether it's wealth, friendships, family, all these different things. We can't always choose family, but we can create a new family by the people we associate with. So consider your life. How you create your life is based on every action you take every single day. So I can't be the superhero I was yesterday. Today, I have to recreate that new superhero, that person who takes off the mask and says, here I am.
That's
Absolutely. And I appreciate your perspective, and mine is like, I create everything, not just like my little world. So it's not different in that, it just goes beyond that in the term and in a way that and I'm not saying one is better or worse in any way, because I actually also don't know who determines what's positive or negative. I mean, we could talk about that for hours too. And or what is good or bad. There's no such thing really. If we think about it, those are labels. However, what I want to just point out is that what I mean is like I really create everything, my entire universe. And don't we often hear, you're not the center of the universe? Well, yes, I am the center of my universe. I am the center of my universe right now. And you are too, right? So isn't that interesting? I mean, I love to talk about this stuff, where does your responsibility begin? Where does it end? Where does your freedom begin? Where does it end? And all these different things. They are very important conversations.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to thank everybody who's been joining us and making comments. Keep them coming. We love hearing it. We love your perspectives as well, because now you become part of this incredible conversation. Ladies, I like to turn it a little bit around and talk about transforming leadership. What does that mean to transform? And now we're talking about leadership. Are you the leader, or are you helping other people become the leader?
I think it's
I
yes.
can talk about that, but did you say Nikki? Okay,
I
yeah,
was just
go
going to
ahead.
say, I think it's yes, a yes, and becoming a leader, or it's both. I think it just depends on the context. I think we're all the leaders of our own life, and we learn how to step into leadership, and that can look different as we're growing and evolving and transforming ourselves in the capacity of actually leading a group of people. There was a time when I was president of one of my master networks. I was president of one of the New York chapters. And as the leader of that chapter, a lot of times I stepped back and I let other people rise, to what were their strengths? Where did they shine? And it was definitely a team effort.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I think, I just posted something the other day that said leaders don't grow followers, they grow leaders. Right? So yes, but I loved, Nikki, that you said we are the leaders of our lives. I could not agree more. That's, self-leadership is at the base of any leadership of others, of any leadership of groups, of communities or organizations. Without that self-leadership, your leadership of others cannot be sustainably effective and successful. That's what I believe, at least. And it also cannot be authentic from the beginning. There's no authentic leadership without self-leadership first. That's what I believe, at least. So I also believe that we are ready in this world to lead with new paradigms. And we talk so much about mindset, but where's the heart set? Why is it so weird to talk about the heart and about love in business? And why is it so weird to talk about emotions in business? It shouldn't. Why is it so weird to talk about energy in business? Maybe it should not, because everything is energy, right? So where did we get this stuff? Where did we get those paradigms, those old paradigms? And isn't it time to bring in some new paradigms?
I love to get your thoughts on this, Jodi.
I agree with especially what Nikki said to begin with, that idea, and Regina as well, that being a leader, we should be creating other leaders. We should be growing other leaders, and really just pushing people to achieve potential, right? Obviously not their full potential, because they will just keep going, as Regina said, but really inspiring and encouraging others to step into, whatever role that they need to play. Because you think about it, we're not always going to be around. So what good does it do if we're trying to be a leader that makes it's all about me and my leadership, and you can't do anything else and nobody else can have a say? No, we need to be training those future leaders all the time, so that when we are gone, or when we need to take a step back and sit down and rest for a minute, it will still carry on, whatever it is, whatever situation, whatever cause, or whatever it might be. It can continue to move on because we have instilled that. But like, as Regina said, that self-leadership, how are we going to inspire others if we're not truly doing what we say to do? If we're trying to teach them to be these authentic leaders, how are we going to do that if we're not being authentic ourselves? And so we have to be authentic with ourselves to begin with. And recognizing that, kind of going back to just a second ago, the idea of, being vulnerable enough to see, the people around me, like, hey, look, do you like me or not? Do you see my value or not? And that tells me then how to spend my time. But one thing that we have to be careful of is making sure that when those people don't like us or don't agree with us or don't like our leadership style, that doesn't affect my worth. It's okay for you to have that opinion, and it's okay for you to decide to go into another circle or to find another leader. It's not going to change the authenticity that I am operating within. It doesn't affect my value. It doesn't affect the job that I am here to do or the purpose that I have been given. And so allowing that piece of authenticity to really emanate in our leadership as well, to say, hey, it's okay for you to have an opinion. It's okay for you to not like me. I'm still me and I'm still okay with me and I still am going to push forward in the purpose that I believe I have. I think that's part of being authentic is being okay receiving some of those negative messages and not allowing it to affect your drive or your view of yourself. And that then in itself, once again, inspires others to truly recognize it's okay to be me. It's okay to embrace who I am and what I have inside of me, because that's what I was created for. I wasn't created to please everyone else or make everyone else happy. I was created with this purpose, and some people aren't going to be okay with that. And I think that in itself is a powerful aspect of leadership.
It sure is. I like the fact that there's no dictatorship, right?
Right.
Because it's
Yeah.
it's it's just what I say and everything else is no good. So considering transforming leadership, it's I think that in order for any leader to become the best leader, they would have had to become a great follower first, to follow a good example, to follow someone who's doing the right thing and maybe take it and make it their own so that they can become the great leader they need to be. And what if everyone was a leader and we had no followers? Who would we lead?
Well,
What?
you could be a leader in one, in one environment and
One
a follower
aspect?
in another. You're not
There you
really only always a follower, or always a leader, right? We all have those multiple roles in life, like you are a brother and a father, right? So it's sort of the same thing. And our attitudes also change as we interact with different people. We could still be the same authentic person, and still our attitudes will change because we adapt to according to who we interact with, right? So I also want to go back to what Jodi said before about this, yes, embracing that you are inherently worthy. You don't need to deserve any worth. That's already something that we need to just also embody and integrate in order to actually be able to be more authentic, I think, or at least it helps. And then, value cannot be put on people anyway. That's more like, something for things, in my opinion. But the worth, you already are worthy, and whatever your leadership role is. But going back to that leader, being authentic as a leader, right, Jodi? So yes, being open for feedback, of course, and at the same time, and this is what authenticity is about, being transparent about what you stand for. And I want to talk to it also from a different perspective. I have lived in different countries, different cultures on different continents, and I have adopted a lot of things, but not everything I have found, right? So I need to be in a position to evaluate, okay, what has value to me, what doesn't. And at the same time, I want to also always focus on staying me, not becoming someone else, right? So I think when we talk about leadership, it's comparable to that.
So true.
Yeah.
So true.
One thing I want to say, going back to something that Jodi said about when you are leading, and this doesn't even have to be when you're leading, it could be at any point in life where not everybody's going to like you or agree with you. I've decided to reframe that as, instead of some people are not going to like what I say or what I do, reframe it that some people have other preferences.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and I think you both said it, that we are only always worthy and valuable. There's people that are going to lean in and really, praise maybe what we say. And there's going to be other aspects where they don't agree. And maybe they change the way they interact with you. And if we rely on the praise and the blame, and we allow our worth to waver, that there could be consequences for that.
Mm.
And wouldn't it be so boring if we all had the same opinions and perspectives?
Yes.
Absolutely.
We got to keep it spicy, right?
That's right.
Spice, it adds a value to life, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, keeps it interesting.
How do you, as a leader, how do you help someone become a better leader? That's an open question.
Well, I would say the most important thing is to allow them to be their own leader, like to be their own, to have their own leadership style to choose, right? And not impose onto them what you think it should be. And it goes back again to what Jodi said very much at the beginning of this chat that we're having here today, where she said, well, it's not about what somebody thinks you should be doing or should be, or what your activity, your profession should be, whatever that is, but really giving everybody the freedom of choice and to determine this for themselves. And really, instead of imposing your own views, being a listener, being open to their ideas, and then guiding them accordingly.
I think it's important to remember that we're not in leadership to create cookie cutters of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
They're not supposed to look just like we are. It's the same idea as being a parent. I don't want all of my kids to, have all the same talents as me and do all the exact same things. I want to teach them the foundation. I want to teach them, hey, these are the things that are important to us. This is where we build character. This is where we build integrity. This is how we live out our values. I want to teach those things and then allow them the space and the creativity to see what that looks like for them, to see how their unique personalities and perspectives come into that, to then stand up and be that leader. So remembering, I'm not here to make cookie cutters. I'm here to instill what I can instill while still being teachable myself. I don't know how many times I'm learning things from my clients. I'm learning things from people that I might be in leadership over. So having that teachable spirit, I think, is what reminds me that I'm not creating the cookie cutters, but also helps teach them it's okay to be teachable and then find how that looks for you in your style of leadership.
And maybe also give them the freedom to choose their own values.
Mm-hmm.
Because we think oftentimes our values are the most important and are the only ones, and that might not be the truth for someone else.
I love the teachable part. It's almost like being coachable. If you're not coachable, you have nothing to take, right?
Mm-hmm.
And being teachable or being coachable, to me, almost is the same thing, because it's can you be guided? Who here has never used a GPS? Raise your hand. Right? So without that GPS, sometimes we're not going to get to our destination. We may circle a bunch of times unless we know the way. We're going to have to need to ask questions, ask for guidance. So it's that constant asking for guidance, because A pilot needs that GPS. They need to autocorrect constantly, right? I just hate it when my text autocorrects because it does the wrong thing.
Yeah.
It says the wrong thing. But when we are looking for guidance, sometimes as a leader, we need the guidance. That's how somebody else can make me a better leader, so that I have people around me who are not going to yes me, but they're going to question me to say, do you think that this idea that you have is the best idea for what we're trying to create here? So that I am constantly questioned. And it doesn't mean that, hey, be quiet, I'm the leader. It's more, please chime in so we can do this, whatever this is, at a greater and higher level than if I just led by myself. And the same thing is, if I'm in somebody's team and they're the leader, I will only want to stick around if they're open to what you talked about, Jodi, what you talked about, Regina, the coachability, the training, the teachable aspects, or even the thought process that things are not always what we see, because there may be some things that we're not able to see. Because I can't tell you what's in the back of my neck right now. I'd need you. Could you tell me? I would need you to be able to help and guide me, right?
Right.
So I think that a true leader needs the GPS, and the GPS are the people helping to guide that vehicle, if you will.
Well, and I think it's important too to make sure we check in with ourselves and never think that we have arrived. Never think that we have achieved this grand status and that we have nothing else to learn, because there's always something to learn, no matter how educated you are, no matter how talented you are, there's always something that can be learned. And we see that, throughout history, and we see that even in scripture. Paul, one of the greatest missionaries of all time, he had a time, even though he was eloquent, he was an eloquent speaker, he knew what he knew, he was an expert in his field. And then there was a change for him on the road to Damascus, where he believed in Jesus Christ, right? And it wasn't like, okay, I'm already an eloquent speaker, I already know all of this history and all of these facts, and I'm just going to go now be a leader with this new thing that I believe. He was willing to sit back, and he had to. God blinded him for 3 days. He couldn't do anything else. He had to sit back and be taught for a period of time before he was ready to then go out. So I think we have to remember that we're always learning things, no matter what experience we have, no matter what talents and education or whatever it might be that we feel makes us able to stand up and do certain things as a leader. We're always needing to learn and grow. And the best way to do that is to keep our eyes open and to be mindful of the people around us and what we can learn from them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I like what Paul put here before. He said, I was unfortunately being authentic and blunt, but yet lacking emotional intelligence. And that's just what you touched upon, the emotional intelligence that we need to be as a leader in order to be there for someone. Because sometimes it's not just the project, it's the people. It's the people. The people matter. They're going to make the project really elevate if they're thought of as meaning. They have meaning behind it, right? Not just it's the projects, the projects, the projects, the project. No, it's the people who make the project what it is, right?
Right. And everybody has different experiences, like Regina said, different values, different beliefs, so that all informs people's decisions and impacts their behaviors. So it's always good to stay in curiosity and ask questions. What's important to you about that? Or, tell me more, or unlock your full potential. What does that mean specifically to you? Because there's so much pieces of information that is in someone's mind that we're not privy to. So when we ask questions, we find out.
Yeah, I love curiosity as a leadership trait. I think it's one of the most important ones, actually, in my opinion, right? Again, somebody might have a different opinion. It's in my opinion. And I have seen so much value in it, in practicality, right? Also, I wanted to go back to what Sifu said before. So what you were talking about before you asked Jodi the question, I think for me, that has to do a lot with co-creation, principles of co-creation, right? So yes, we can collaborate, but co-create is really good, goes beyond collaborating, co-creation. And why does it go beyond collaborating? Because we come with this intention to create something bigger together than we could potentially create on our own, right? Also, what Jodi said about education, well, we often call the schooling education, but is that really education? I mean, a lot of what we learn in the so-called education system is blunt lies and really false. So we talk about questioning here. I want to bring this topic in again, because yes, it is important to question, especially as a leader. Have I considered all the different types of information, which a lot of leaders don't do? They just stay in their bubble. And that's what leads to situations, as we've seen in the last 4 years a lot. So and always really, but more bluntly in the last 4 years. So I think questioning is such an important activity or mental activity, right? Is everything that are you really more informed because you went to college 4 more years? Not necessarily. Not necessarily, right? So I think that's very, very important to ask yourself, okay, what does that really mean to me to be educated and not just schooled?
I like the idea of, and the way I train my people is I call it edutainment. So people learn more when they're entertained and sometimes don't even realize they're being educated. They're learning something, but they're having fun doing so. And I think that people can grasp the ideas and the concepts way better when it's more fun. And we are lacking in our school system so much of that, where we're not helping each person be the best version of themselves because we have a cookie cutter, and we keep saying that we don't want people to be cookie cutter, yet we're feeding them a cookie cutter mentality. We're not letting them explore their natural gifts or even being able to see what is their natural gift. Sometimes you have teenagers who don't even know what they want out of life, yet we're forcing it down their throats. And for me, the school system is definitely lacking. How do we solve that problem? We're not going to do it now because we're basically out of time, right? But
Yeah.
if you consider what we've been talking about, it is that. I think we actually have been talking about how do we shape our children's minds so that they can start to think like a leader, like a follower. And I love the fact that, Regina, you said you can't constantly be a leader because you may have to follow other things, right? You talked about being a father, a brother. I can't be a sister, right? It's not natural for me, right? I can't be a mother, right? I can act like a sister, I can act like a mother, but I'm not that, right? So consider every aspect of our lives. If we can help someone else shape theirs, that is transforming leadership. Like Jodi talked about her children. She doesn't want them all thinking like her, right? Jodi and I are the only ones here who have children. You both, Nikki, you have nephews and nieces, and I've seen some great pictures of them, right? You're running around, and you're a great aunt. You're a great family member. And Regina, and I know that you've been all over the world and you've impacted so many people. that I think we all bring different value, but we can help the youth become the best version so that we can have a bright future, because the youth are our future, whether we like it or not. So let's shape them so that we can have a greater time when we're in our 80s, 90s, hundreds. By the way, you're all invited to my 100th birthday party.
But also, let's listen to them. Why should they only listen to us? I mean, we always assume that just because we're older, we know more. Do we? We've also learned a lot of crap. So it really, I just really want to question these things, because I'm always for supporting for supporting young people. And I've done work with young people in several different countries, specifically with young people. I love working with young people. Right. And on the other hand, it's just equally important to listen to their ideas and to them and what they have to contribute. And I think if they could shape the school system, for example, they would do it completely differently and way better. So I have even written articles on the school system. So if you're interested, I'd be happy to share that article. I'm not going to go into the details, no worries, right? But I have a very strong opinion about this, I have to say. So I have a lot of ideas now. But also, yes, let's ask the people that we say we want to shape, because I think there's so much value. We talk about this generational mentoring principle also sometimes, right? But it doesn't go only in one direction. It goes in all directions, right? We can learn just as much from children as they can learn from us, if not more.
Oh my gosh. By the way, that was great. Great ending there, because we have to end. We've come to that time. I got to tell you, Regina, it's always such a pleasure to have you, and the great mind that you have. And I think you have created that universe because you've been all over the world, right? And you have a different way of thinking. And I love that. You have a great mind. What I'd love to do right now is for everybody to give you 30, 45 seconds. Tell us how we can reach you. Show us your book. I know you have a great book that you just put into Portuguese and so forth. So, Regina, you're up first.
Okay. You can find everything about me, my business, about my favorite activities on my website, transformyourperformance.com. There's a page there for my books. And yes, I have them nearby. These are the latest ones. So two, because it's in two different languages. It's called Living My Freaking Amazing Life, Create the Life That's Perfect for You Anywhere in the World. The books are on Amazon. I have my Rise to Lead podcast. And as I said, everything else is on my website.
Beautiful. Thank you. And Jodi, you are up, my dear.
Thank you. So you can find anything and everything about me and what I'm doing on my website, jodihendricks.com. That's where you can find my book. I have #NoFilter, Unmasking the Woman God Created You to Be. And it is the first in a series. So if you're interested, you can find how to purchase it on the website, and you can watch for information on the upcoming books in this series, all about just embracing that authenticity of who you were created to be. And then, of course, the work that I do here in New Mexico at the state legislature, you can also find information on my website.
Love it. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Nikki, you're up.
Thank you, Sifu. So you can find me at nikkigangemi.com and all the different social media channels. I have a book as well, The Calm Method, but what I want to share with you right now is about a complimentary experience I'm hosting tomorrow, Self-Doubt to Self-Mastery. I'm going to be teaching a goal alignment framework to help you bridge the gap. So I will share the link to register on Zoom for that. Thank you.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. And I'm Sifu Rafael. I'm pretty easy to find. It's Sifu at speakingprowess.com. Speaking Prowess is my website. I'm Sifu. Come, let's connect. Let's chat. My goal is to enhance communication worldwide, one person at a time. That could be you. Thank you, everybody. Ladies, wow. I think we should do another one of these, but make it like a 6-7 hour episode. I know we can go on and on and on. Thank you, everyone. You are all
Thank you.
my heroes. And no masks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Just hang out for a minute, everybody. Have yourself an exceptional rest of your day. Take care.